market and sell marijuana for profit continues to be an enforcement priority.
We see these guidelines as giving clarity, allowing law enforcement to move forward and enforce our federal laws and shut down these storefront operations that are nothing more than a free ticket for drug trafficking.
The Bush administration prosecuted marijuana dispensaries and their customers when a federal drug law was violated. The new memo leaves open that possibility, but suggests prosecutors defer to state laws in the 14 states which permit medical marijuana.
People are still just as subject to prosecution, and I don't think that part of the message is going to get out. I think that it's going to make a already confused situation more chaotic.
The Justice Department took pains to underline that drug enforcement is still a core priority, noting that marijuana distribution in the United States remains the single largest source of revenue for the Mexican drug cartels. Jean Meserve, CNN, Washington.
So what do you think of the Obama administration's attitude on the laws surrounding medical marijuana? Send us your thoughts by clicking the Your Voice button at the bottom of your player. Here's what Alan said. The long overdue repeal of the prohibition on marijuana for medical or recreational use will end decades of hypocrisy and enable states like California to capture an active market while reducing crime and developing economically. And Craig says, I think the issue of pot is a waste of time. All of these laws against it and people in jail, all for a plant. I think no law should be made banning a plant. It's going to grow no matter how illegal you make it. And Alex says it's still a drug and should not be legal. Unfortunately, there are many places that allow it, and the Justice Department should not have issued this kind of directive. People who use and distribute medical marijuana should face federal prosecution, even in states where the drug is allowed. Join the conversation. What do you think of the Obama administration's attitude on the laws surrounding medical marijuana? Send us your thoughts by clicking on the Your Voice button at the bottom of your player.
Well, first of all, the guidelines that were issued yesterday are simply putting into writing the policy that was announced back in January. And it really isn't much of a deviation from what has been practiced. If you look at how our drug laws were enforced and who the drug enforcement agencies were arresting under both the Bush and the Clinton administration, it really hasn't changed because it hasn't been their practice to go after patients and sick and dying people, but rather to go after those that are trafficking in drugs, that are peddling drugs to our kids, and that are putting our communities at risk. So we really haven't seen much of a change here in the focus of policy.
And are you okay with that?
Well, I think that going after drug dealers and going after those that are profiting other people by misleading sick people to think that marijuana could be helpful to them and making it easier for our kids to use drugs, absolutely. I think that we should be focusing on them and going after them, which is what DEA has been doing for a number of years now.
But just so I have your position straight, are you fine with the fact that the administration, as you put it, isn't necessarily changing their enforcement? It seems to me they're changing what they're saying. But if the enforcement is going to be the same as it was in previous administrations, are you okay with that? Are you okay with not going after states that allow medical marijuana?